How's everyone doing? I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Welcome to another 5 talking points video after our 2-1 win against Watford. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Jorginho, Eden Hazard, our final ball, Emerson and HudsonOdoi. So if you guys like the video and if you enjoy the other content I produce for this channel, smash that like button. Help me get more than 500 likes for today's video and press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lions TV. But anyway, getting straight into the first point, that's in regards to Jorginho. And I feel like whenever Jorginho does get criticised by people, they always discredit the context as to why. And the context is always the opposition team's tactics and how the team's performing as well. Jorginho is like the facilitator in midfield. Normally when you see the team playing well, that's when you tend to see Jorginho standing out. And I feel like after our 2-1 win against Watford, this was the type of game that Jorginho really stood out in. Now the thing that I liked the most was that you were able to literally bypass Watford constantly in midfield and beat their press. And that's always good to see because, as I was saying in the match review, Watford used a tactic identical to what Everton used against us. And we remember just how hard that Everton game was. When teams use this tactic, what they're trying to do is disrupt our play out from the back. And they do this by closing down the passing lanes and preventing them. And by keeping their shape in the middle, near the halfway line, you're trying to force your opponent team to force their passes out wide. And with a guy like Jorginho, once you take away his passing options, then you're really effectively just reducing the player because he's purely in the team, mainly for his passing. Now the reason as to why we were able to constantly beat Watford's press and play between their lines was down to the false 9 system and down to Eden Hazard leaving his position, dropping deeper, forcing Watford players onto him and being the extra passing outlet that guys like Jorginho need. And with Hazard constantly creating spaces out wide, it meant that Pedro and Willian had tons of fun down the flanks when it came to counter-attacks. Now of course, Jorginho did stand out for his defensive display as well, but imagine if we never used a false 9 system, we easily could have struggled against Watford with their tactic. It's a constant fine line, and that's why I said that Jorginho is affected by the opposition's tactics and if our team isn't playing well. Like for me personally, whenever I think about stuff in football, I always ask myself why, and I try to figure out explanations. Sometimes I do research online, sometimes I read people's thoughts and opinions online or in articles, and I feel like it makes it easier for me to process and understand why things happen. And I kind of feel like that's the type of energy we need to use towards Jorginho, because most times if he isn't playing well, it's down to other factors. Now, I'm not saying that he can't be critiqued for things he's doing on his own, like for example, if he's messing up a pass, or if he puts in a very weak tackle. But just to end this point, and yes, I know it's very cliched, but I kind of feel like if you watch Jorginho, then you understand the game. Anyway, moving on to the second point, and I need to talk about Eden Hazard and his false 9 future. Now, Hazard came out himself stating that he prefers to play down the left out wide compared to playing as a striker, and he compared himself with Dries Mertens, and I thought that he was kind of hinting on the sly, but the point he was making was the fact that Mertens is able to play as a striker because naturally his game off the ball is better, and that's how he prefers to play. And of course, if you top that off with the fact that he's very good at finishing, it makes a lot of sense. Now with Eden Hazard, and I've been stressing, if the guy plays as a natural false 9 where he can drop deep and link up the play, that's going to get the best out of him compared to how Conte was using him. But the main point that Hazard was trying to get to was the fact that he would like a striker to be at Chelsea so he can continue to play in his normal position. Now for me, who am I to argue against Hazard? I mean, the guy is one of the best players in the world. I think he understands where his best position is. But on this point, I have to agree with Sarri. I agree with everything he said in today's press conference. Hazard is just better for the team. And as I explained earlier in the first point, his ability to drop deep back into midfield, he becomes an extra passing option as well as creating spaces between the lines for other players to play in. And this is how we've been able to beat the opposition's press, and this is how we've been able to combat against mid-block teams. And personally, I would love Hazard to continue to play as a false 9, but it's a point that I've been saying quite a lot during the summer when I was talking about Anthony Martial. This is why I want a striker of those dimensions that can operate out wide and can move centrally, because my thing's always been Hazard is our best player. He's one of the top 5 in the world, or top 3, I'd have to say. That's how good he is. It's very rare to have a player of that ability playing for your club. We could get the best out of this guy if we had the license to play with a forward like that. Imagine the interchange. Imagine, for example, it's a Depay or a Martial. Let's say Hazard starts on the left, Martial's in the middle, and let's say Hazard wants to move back into the middle. Martial can drift out wide. It's like, how do you defend against that? How do you mark against that? It's too flexible, it's too skillful. And I feel like this is the best way to really unlock Eden Hazard, because we have to accept the guy isn't Messi, he isn't Ronaldo, he's Hazard. This is why we always call him the best player in the league, because you can't really quantify him based on goals and assists. He improves the team, he's a standout player, he makes everything look easy. This is why he is the best player in the league. And just how guys like Messi and Ronaldo were able to reach new heights due to the systems they were playing in, I feel that this is what Hazard needs to really match their level. And I feel like this is how we unlock Hazard so he can win a Ballon d'Or. Imagine Hazard with pure creative freedom like this. And this is why I really hope that we seal the signing of Dries Mertens, because I feel like if fans could see the combinations between them, because Mertens is in that bracket stylistically with players like Martial and Depay. If Hazard has the opportunity to play in his dream role, in his dream position, it's going to make him really think hard and really consider his future. It must give him that confidence that yes, staying at Chelsea is the best. In my opinion, I feel like Real Madrid will need a few more years to get back to the top. They're in decline, their players aren't motivated. They need to sign a ton of players to really get back to the high level. And does Hazard really want to waste his prime years on another long-term project? I don't think so. But anyway, you guys, give me your thoughts and opinions below on my idea on how to get the best out of Eden Hazard. Moving on to the final 3 points, starting with the third one, and that's in regards to why our final balls aren't always working. Now, I feel like people are quite cynical when they say things like, when is Sarri ball gonna come? I feel like we're already seeing it. This is Sarri ball, but we're not seeing it to its maximum efficiency and potential. We see so many examples of this, and I think the game against Watford where, you know, we beat their press, Jorginho plays that very nice thing past the Kovacic, who runs it on goal and plays in million. Now under Napoli, that becomes a goal 10 times out of 10, but with us, we don't finish from that. And if you're a fan and there's no end product from that great play, that's something that becomes easily forgettable. And I think this is why people feel like, well, why isn't Sarri ball working? Chelsea are only scoring 2 goals. They're not thrashing teams 4 or 5-0. And it's down to examples like this. But we all believe in the process. We know what the motto is. But by now, everyone should be believing in the process. Once better players come, and once these guys work under Sarri even longer, that's how we turn in tight 2-1 wins to 4-1 and 5-1 wins. And this has happened constantly where we don't finish off these moves, but this is why I'm incredibly optimistic about our future under Sarri, because we're already seeing this at a very early stage, and it's something that's only going to get better, and it's something that's going to work very soon. Now, moving on to the fourth point, got to talk about Emerson. Now, the guy with such a short period playing, he just outperformed Alonso in my opinion. Everything we constantly keep talking about what Emerson can provide to the team, he showed in that very short spell. I don't understand why Sarri just isn't giving him that faith. Now, we have to understand one thing, Emerson is pretty stupid. Now, in my opinion, a new manager's come in, you want to make the best impression possible. Now, if you're already starting to party hard a bit, what impression are you giving Sarri? Are you telling the coach that you can rely on me and trust me? Of course not. But Emerson has got much better with that recently. I'm not someone personally that really holds on to grudges about what people did in the past, and Sarri is obviously using him a bit more, but I really feel like for this team to really reach a new height, Emerson's offensive abilities are needed. We saw the technique at beating his man, we saw his technique at keeping the ball as well. He's faster than Alonso, he doesn't lose the ball as much as Alonso, and what I like the most is there's just more variety from his end product. Sometimes Emerson will burst into the box and play a cutback pass. Sometimes he'll cross it from deep. Sometimes he'll try and take a shot on goal himself. And I've always liked players that can take responsibility in their own hands, that can beat a player, because beating the press and skipping past your opponent is always the best way at creating spaces against opposition teams. But again, when it comes to the left back area, like, it seems to be a recent curse since Ashley Cole left. Now, we've had guys like Felipe Luis, Baba, even used Kennedy at times, and now we've got Emerson. We've had really good offensive fullbacks. All the guys we signed were renowned for their offensive abilities, yet every single time, defensive supportive guys like Aspi and Alonso are playing on the left, It makes no sense. Now, I understand why managers do this. They think, well, if Hazard's playing on the left, the guy's not really going to work back as hard. I can't afford to have an attacking fullback on the left, but that's so counterproductive. If Hazard had another ally down that left-hand side, that's only going to get the best out of him. And every other top team has two fullbacks that are very offensive. And every time we keep having managers that care about little small things about the players like Alonso's height and not about the offensive abilities. And I'm really hoping, because recently Sarri's doing everything we want. We're seeing HudsonOdoi playing. We're seeing HudsonOdoi playing. Ruben's playing much more. The last thing Sarri needs to do is to play Emerson from the start. And to end on the final point, I want to talk about HudsonOdoi briefly. Now again, of course, Sarri using on the right hand side, and there was great context as to why. And obviously the context as to why Sarri used him down the right is, one, I don't think Sarri trusts his defensive abilities just yet. And when you have someone like Alonso, who is a liability defensively, you can't afford to take that risk. And I think on top of that, we never saw the real Callum against Watford because he did carry a slight injury. Of course, he did get a hamstring at the end, but it was great to see his introduction because, number one, it tells us that Sarri trusts the player and wants to start using him. And number two, it tells you that Sarri doesn't like Giroud, he doesn't like Morata. False 9 is here to go, and I'm really feeling like the false 9 system is going to be that new tactical edge that Sarri brings to the team. I mean, for example, when he first joined Napoli, Sarri was using a diamond in midfield and he was using a 4-2-3-1. He never actually started off using a 4-3-3. You know, the guy is much more adaptable than he's given credit for. But it just makes so much sense with Hazard being the guy to play in the middle. He attracts so many men towards him, he creates so much space, plus he helps us play out even more. And from that one tactical tweak, we've got so much tactical versatility against teams that park the bus, that press us high, and that use mid-block tactics as well. And I feel like that's the blueprints for building a world-class team. For example, this is why Pep Guardiola at Barcelona were just so incredible, because whatever tactic you use against them, you couldn't beat them. Barcelona had a solution for every single thing, and it's great to see that Sarri is developing this at Chelsea. But anyway, you guys, that's going to bring an end to today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As always, you guys, thank you to everyone that participates in the comment section. I always have so much fun reading everyone's thoughts and opinions. Yes, I can't reply to everyone because there's hundreds of them. There's so many, but still, don't let that put you off from giving your thoughts and opinions, because not only do I read them, I read everyone. Everyone else reads them as well. But you guys, I'm going to keep it moving. Thank you for watching. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Line TV. Signing out.